in 15 more subscribers, we're gonna be able to hit that nice NBA 2K. So on one hand, I'm pleased with that, but on the other hand, that is exactly how I feel, because I said this year we're going to hit 10K, and we only in halfway through this year, more than halfway really, and we haven't even gotten close to the halfway point of that yet, which honestly kind of makes me feel some type of way. But regardless, when it comes down to things, yes, it is time for another quick cut to story. We have 7 acts to burn through. Pain. So wish me luck with my voice and not dying. So when it comes down to things, we have a lot to unpack here. A lot of shit's gonna go down, and this is part 1 of this episode that we're on. Part 2 will be coming fairly soon because I'm almost done animating that, and when it comes down to things, you will probably have that with it this week as well. So just keep that in mind. We are coming very much close to the end of the major part of the Ruby arc and stuff. And so if you are, keeping up, obviously, you know what's going on. But if you're not, I recommend that you go back to the previous episode, check things out. Because, like I said before, I'm not really going to recap anything, especially with how long these acts take and how long and stuff I had to keep talking and writing and dialogue and stuff. It's a lot, especially when we get to like fight scenes and things, because that takes a lot out of me. I'm just going to tell you straight up. This fight scene was not exactly how it was supposed to be animated. However, it's the way that it worked for me, so I can get this out and done. Also, in a way where it still has that dramatic tension and goes in a way where I want it to still go, honestly, without breaking what I want it to do. If you also are somebody that does like this type of content, or you're just honestly curious to see where this goes, please do consider subscribing, as well as becoming a Patreon member. Your boy needs help, a lot of it. And when it comes down to things, just, again, kick back, relax. Probably gonna be a long ass episode, so hopefully you have some snacks ready. If you're drinking anything less than a Barks root beer, I'm whooping your ass and I'm coming to your house. So, Act 1 starts out with Lamine in the infirmary after her getting her ass beat by Blake and Yang, but more so Yang when it comes down to things. And she's just been in here healing up nicely. And basically Jay was just sitting there by her side, just kind of waiting on her to wake up. And so, as she is waking up, Jay's just like, "You alright?" And so Lamine's just like, "Yeah, why are you here? I forgot what you did. Or are you here because there is another secret you're holding on to?" And so I'm just like, "No secrets, and I'm sorry. I should have told you the truth, and honestly, I'm not here to seek forgiveness, but at least to see you until you've woken up." And so, basically, they kind of just sat there in silence. And so, let me just like, who attacked me? Yang and Blake, Ruby's friend and sister. They sneaked you, and then afterwards, Yang kidnapped Yukari. So, Lamine just like, "And you let it just happen?" And so, I'm just like, "I didn't know at the time." And so, Lamine was like, "You never know anything unless you want to know. What is wrong with you? Doesn't feel so good when someone does something behind your back now, does it?" And so Xinyan comes through. "Hi Xinyan. Gosh, it's been a long ass time since we last seen you." When it comes down to things, she comes through after listening to this stuff and decides to interject herself in this conversation. Do I even remember how to do in Xinyan's voice? We're gonna figure it out. "Now that's enough. He didn't mean her or you any harm." And so Lamine just like, he can't do anything. Every time he makes a decision, things just keep getting worse. And so Xinyan just like, "Shut your damn mouth. He ain't perfect, but he's trying. I expected better from you, traveler. Yes, he had no right to lie or hold secrets, but he's been trying to make it up for everyone. The Spare's already out to get us, and the last thing he needs is more resistance. You don't think it's stressful to lead a whole world?" And I'm just like, "Xinyan, you don't need to come to my aid." And so Xinyan's like, and as for you, stop trying to take on all this by yourself. Confide in the people that has been there for you. Sage already told me where those intruders are, but I'm not telling till you two sort yourselves out. Go on now." And so basically, wow, that's probably the most southern I ever sounded. But anyway, so basically, she was basically forcing their hand, and so Jay obviously had to make up with Lamine, which led into this shit going all the way from noon to sunset as they talk out their grievances and sort it out. Things obviously escalated into Jay getting to clap Lamine's cheeks a good time after a long ass period of time. And so basically, he's just like, so is everything good now? And so let me just like, yeah, just no more secrets. And I'm like, agreed. And so basically, Jay just gets back up and pulls back the curtain on the other bed. He sees Shin Yan just already used up and just laid the hell out. And he's just like, alright, Shin, what does Sage say? And so Shin Yan's just like, just give me a minute. I'm still feeling a little hot from earlier. And so basically, yes, Jay and Lamine are finally, back on the same term. They still got some things to work out, still, kinda, but they're better at least, right? And when it comes to Shin Yan, she's got a free dick. That's essentially it. So going on to Act 2, Yang and Blake are at the shrine, because this is going to be their new hideout for the foreseeable future, honestly. Because think about it, if I already been to one place, you don't think they're going to pull up to that other place if I'm looking out for my enemies and, all that type of stuff? So that's essentially what went through their head when it comes to that. So basically, Blake comes from the inside after checking on Yukari to make sure, seeing what's going on with her. And so Blake is just like, she's still resting. It's strange. You would have thought she would have woken up by now. And so Yang doesn't say anything, but Blake's just noticing that something's really off about Yang. And so she's just like, why did you get her and not Ruby? And so Yang just like, look, we was running out of time, so I thought if we grab her, the people who took Ruby would come running to get her back. And so Blake's just like, maybe so, but kidnapping someone? We never done something like this before. This isn't something a huntress would do. Which, you've been more angry than usual. And with plans like this, you're starting to remind me of Adam. Would Ruby even want something like this to happen for us to save her? And so Yang kind of starting to get pissed off about this shit, as she do. And so she's just like, don't act like you know my sister. You wasn't the one looking over her, I was. And so Blake was just like, where is this coming from? I'm not trying to replace you or anything. I was just saying that, and then despair got a hold of Yang. Ah, shit. And when it comes down to things, she absolutely, went off on Blake for no damn reason. Because Blake was actually being sensible for once. And essentially Yang was just like, the only thing you should be trying to do is stay in the background of the team like the shadow you are. And so Blake was just left speechless. Yang kind of realizing what she just said, but not completely feeling like she was in the wrong, because that's how they be. So when it comes down to Yang, you're just like, I'm sorry. Just losing Ruby and not knowing anything about what's going on in her mind is just too much for me. I didn't mean to say any of that. You know I still love you. And so Blake just like, I know. And so she's feeling hella conflicted at this point. But Yang pulls her in for a kiss, and then, Blake doesn't necessarily know how to feel about this at the moment, right? She feel like all this feels wrong. Like, this ain't the Yang that I used to actually like and know. So while that was happening, we end up going to see, the heroes basically preparing to take back Yukari and fix this entire situation. So basically Jay just like, according to Sage, there are two places each of the team is at. One at the bar, and one at the shrine. You got the bar with the one target, which I bet Weiss will be there. Yang and Blake are at the shrine, where me and Shoko will go. You sure you can handle this? And so Konako just like, I have my job, you guys have yours. Besides, I owe Peppermint an ass beating anyway. So I'm just like, yeah, I know, but I just want to make sure. I told you how Weiss fights, and all that, but still, if anything happened to you. And then, at the very same time, Konako was getting tired of this boy not necessarily know how to trust her. So, for Konako to reassure she'll be fine, she ended up kissing Jay very passionately, and so basically he did the same back. And he had to just, trust that she'll be okay. And so Shoko just looking at this shit, she's just like, even at a time like this, a kissing party is still in order. And so basically, she walked through, and Jay noticed the outfit that Shoko was wearing. It was the old ass outfit that you first saw her ever wear. The outfit that made her go against Jay and Blue back way in the day. And so when it comes down to things, Jay just like, wait, that outfit? How come? And so Shoko's like, to remind myself to be aggressive. They took someone from me, And now I need to remember what it was like to really fight for what I want. I'll do my best to stay away from despair, but I'll be damned if I let Yukari wait any longer. And so I'm just like, understood. I'll be relying on you too, after all. Remember what I told you about how they both fight? Hopefully we'll be fine. Alright. Our goal today is clear. Save Yukari and defeat what's left of Team Ruby. No killing if it can be avoided. Are you two understanding what we have to do? And so Kaneko's like, got it. And so Shoka's like, Crystal. And I'm just like, alright, let's do our duties. And so basically they both head off into their objective and, split off on their separate selves. So basically, we see Jay and Shoko finally reach the shrine. And so Jay's just like, this is the place. No, not what I expected from them. And so Shoko's just like, Jay, I need to ask you something before we do this. And I'm just like, what? And so Shoko's just like, what is your honest opinion of me? I'm like, what? You asking this now? And so Shoko's just like, I just need to know. And so I'm just like, seriously? Well, you go on and on about how undoubtable you are, and sometimes that leads you to make mistakes. You also have a lot of pride and overconfidence too. But aside that, you're a caring person, and truly a joy to be around. A real pillar for us all to lean on. And so basically, Shoko, after hearing that, she's just like, and that's why I respect you. You're honest, and I'm glad I asked. Now I feel confident that we can save my sister. I truly am indomitable. Not because of my power, but because of my heart. And I'm just like, and with a heart like that, you really are stronger than indomitability itself. So basically, that's how that kind of go. And, gotta build Shoko up, gotta raise the confidence in her a little bit. It is what it is, right? Let me just tell you also, too, writing dialogue is insanely difficult, right? Especially when there's a boatload of it. So, it's a bit hard. Not gonna necessarily lie. I'm just gonna tell you this, especially for this next part, which I think I did okay on, but I'll leave it to you to be the judge, honestly. Anyway, so while we have, Koneko about to go face off with Weiss, and we have Jay and Shoko about to face off with Yang and Blake, obviously, what is going on with Yukari? Because Yukari hasn't woken up from her own kidnapping. Really, since Jay banged Yukari, she hasn't really woke up at all. So what the hell is going on here? So essentially, we go inside Yukari's mind once again, and we see the corrupted version of Yukari, the despair version of Yukari, basically messing with her per usual, just like we saw before. And so the despair version of Yukari just surrender already. You keep stalling for something that you can't fix. And so Yukari's just like, I won't give in. Not yet. And so the despair version of herself, she's just like, just what is it that keeps you going and hoping for the better? Is it that boy? And so she basically outright mocks Yukari, just like, I love you. All that was just not you wanting to be alone. You don't care if he loves you or not. You just want to feel justified for your existence after everything you've done and been through. To him, you're just a toy to be played with until he gets bored. Mother to daughter, it's all the same, except this time, you willingly want to be used by someone. Used product, just like our mom. And so the real Yukari just like, shut up. Shut up! And so basically the spell inside of her that's on her chest, for once, finally activates. And so a voice comes through, and it's like saying, is this true, Yukari? Why do you believe this? And so Yukari recognizes that voice, and she's like, Mom? And so Yukari's mom starts speaking, and she's just like, why are you listening to her when you are so much more than that? And so Yukari just like, how are you here? And so Yukari's mom just like, I have always been here, watching over you. I made sure to be your guide when things got rough. And so Yukari just like, Mom, this is too much. I created pain and suffering for the people in our world. I'm in a place with other people and I don't even know if I can match up. I let you die when I should have done something. Now I'm not sure what I should do anymore. And so Yukari's mom just like, you're right. You have made many mistakes and created problems. But I want you to ask yourself this. Is that what you truly are? I sense a power outside this body right now with the intent of saving you. And I believe it wouldn't want you to think this way about yourself. And so Yukari just like, save me. And so her mom kind of go back in and says like, yes. And while they are strong, they need you. When I casted this spell before you were born, I did it with the intent hoping you would have friends to love and care for you. I'm so happy that you were able to have them. I couldn't be more proud of you. Please, remember, everyone needs help, and you shouldn't do this on your own. You are the strongest and prettiest girl in the world. Don't worry about the past, but look toward the future. I love you, so please, wake up and learn to trust others and love yourself. And so Yukari just like, love? Trust? And so the spell stopped and the voice obviously of her mother went away. And so basically Yukari was just left alone with the despair version of herself. And Yukari was just like, despite everything I've been through and done, I'm okay with all this. I feel like some of those things you said are true. But it doesn't have to be that way. Ever since the dream, I thought everyone were nothing. I wanted to take them and use them for my own goals, and I shouldn't have thought that way. Instead, I want to learn how to trust others and believe in the ones around me, like they do for me. And so the despair version of Yukari just like, so you finally accept everything? What you want to be? What you have done? And so Yukari just like, yes. And so the corrected version of her just like, about time. I thought you would never get it. You've been asleep for a while now, and a lot had happened. Now that you reach the truth, you'll be able to wake up soon. So Yukari just like, yeah, I know. I'm being saved after all. Still, I need to do some saving myself. So Yukari just like, out of everything though, I'm glad, Mom, that I got to hear your voice again. I also want to tell you about my boyfriend and my new sister. And so basically, Yukari is putting herself back together again, which is nice, obviously. Now we get to the main event of everything, and what's going to be practically the reason why we have to have two parts. Essentially, we have Blake standing outside of the shrine, guarding it, making sure everything was fine. But then you also see that Blake opened her eyes, and she's just like, so, you finally decided to come. And I'm just like, yes, but this is definitely not the way I thought I would come to you. And so Blake's just like charming. And so Yang just comes out from the inside after, also watching Yukari as well. And so Yang is just like, where's my sister? And so Shoka's like, where's my sister? And so Yang's like, wait, that girl's your sister? Well, that explains the weird feeling I had when I got her. And so Blake was surprised about the coincidence too. And so Blake to herself was like, what? And so Yang was like, well, since we both lost someone, you can guess how desperate I am to have Ruby back. If she's not here, then I guess I'll make your sister my new Ruby. And so Shoka was just pissed off. She was just growling at Yang. And so I'm just like, so what? You would just throw Ruby in the trash like that? She must not mean shit to you. No wonder why she hates the team. She's a person who cares for her team, and it's sad that you treat her like this. You think you're doing something by capturing Yukari, but in reality, you're nothing more than a damn villain. How does your team understand and love each other? Some sister yo ass is. And so Yang just like, what the hell could you possibly know about it? I cared for Ruby when it was just us, and show her the love she deserves. No one understands her more than me. And Blake was just still very silent about all this stuff. Still kind of conflicted about how Yang is being right now. But Shoka was like, shut up. And so Yang was just like, what? And so Shoka was like, if that was the case, then why isn't she not here? She could have easily have come back but she chose to stay away because she knows something is off. She's trying to better herself, and you're screwing it up for her. It's not on you to decide her fate. As her sis, it's her choice. And as far as love goes, you're caging her. And that's not love. And so Yang is just like, I haven't caged anyone, right, Blake? And so Blake just kind of sighs, and she's like, ugh. And so Shoko's just like, you still don't get it. Jay, remember what I asked before we came here? And I'm like, yeah. And so she basically got into Jay's face really close, like. And so Shoko's just like, this is my answer to you. And so essentially, Shoko is just kissing Jay, which makes Yang pissed the hell off. But Jay was kind of surprised and taken aback by this, and was just like, wait, what just happened? And so, Shoko's just like, I love you. And I'm like, Shoko. And so she basically grabs Jay's hand as a display of dominance. And so she's just like, this is real love. And this is what we'll use to overpower yours and save Yukari. And Jay is kind of just like, in this place of like, okay, I feel like I could do this. I feel like we could actually do this and shit, right? But also, you're probably wondering, why was Jay so surprised about this? He was thinking back at this point in time about what Koneko said, to take these girls' feelings into consideration if he's going to marry these girls, or think about them and have them around and stuff like that, to really consider their feelings and stuff. And now it's starting to hit him like, oh shit, these women actually really like me like that. I'm gonna have to actually grow some balls and actually just really care and stuff. And that's what basically was going through his mind. And that's why he was looking mad surprised. Yang is like, Blake, get the boy. I got the loudmouth. And so Blake was still not effing with any of this. And she was just like, fine. And she was just completely fed up with it. So, essentially, as things kind of stand, Blake dashed at Jay and was ready to clash blades. And Yang and Shoko were also ready to duke it out to save their sisters. And now the fighting commences. And so as the fight pretty much progresses, we see the battle was going and raging on. Jay versus Blake and Shoko versus Yang. Jay dodged rolled many of Blake's attacks, but she was keeping up on him with everything he did. They also clashed blades, right? But Blake was also ready to shoot with some shit, right? She was ready to use her gun blade. But obviously, Jay ended up missing that shit and tried to go for a thrust to stab Blake, but that didn't necessarily work. But he expected that. So he basically introduced Blake to some ha ha ha. I know I'm cute. I know I'm sexy. I'm just a sexy boy. Sexy boy. I'm not your boy toy. Just a boy toy. I'm just a sexy boy. Sexy boy. I'm not your boy toy. Boy toy. Sweet chin music. Do not fight. Do not clip that. Anyway, when it comes down to things, yes, she got hit with that sweet chin music. Shawn Michaels will be proud. But anyway, we have on the other side where Shoko and Yang were also brawling. So Yang missed Shoko's overhead kick, and then she also retaliated to Shoko's face with an elbow. Damn, that shit hurts. But also, that pissed her off. So as she was falling back, she recoiled her fist and punched the ever-loving life out of Yang. And that was a nice little clap back. But as we know, if you hurt Yang because of her semblance bullshit, we already know she could dish it out 2 times greater. So when it comes down to things, she was pissed. So she basically gut-checked at Shoko and basically laid her ass out. So Jay was just freaking the hell out because he was just like, Shoko! And basically, Blake was coming from the back trying to swipe at Jay, who was already distracted. However, in the most impossible way to block an actual attack, Jay decided to put his blade behind him and just guard the attack of what Blake was trying to go for, honestly. And so Yang was just looking at Shoko, knock the hell out from the attack. And so she was just like, really? That is the power of your love? And so she basically went into the sphere and picked her up by her hair. And so Yang was like, you said I didn't understand. So I'll beat the understanding out of you until you concede. And so basically, Yang started punching Shoko in the face over and over and over again. And the sphere was just and she was just so guided by despair every step of the way. And so Yang was just like, wasting my damn time on you with your pointless claims and your stupid sister. You're nothing to Ruby, and you're nothing to me. And so she keeps going and going and going, and Jay's just watching this shit while he's defending himself from Blake. And so he's just like, Shoko, get up, damn it. And so basically Blake was starting to see what Yang is doing, and her mind was going all the way back to Adam and shit, and just thinking like, Yang, are we really no different than him? And so basically I'm just like, fight! Come on already, Yukari needs us! And so basically she was still getting her ass beat, and Jay was like, Shoko! And so in that moment of that one last scream, essentially time stopped again, and basically we go into Jay's mind now, and all you hear and see is the despair version of himself kind of coming through from the cut. So what you see now, he's just like, after showing all that resolve, she still can't get the job done. Might as well be a glorified punching bag at this point. More importantly, why aren't you in your purified form? And so I'm just like, in case you haven't feel what I'm feeling at the moment, I'm angry as hell, and I can't activate it if I'm feeling like this. And so the despair version of me just like, then shut up and calm down. You try calming down when someone just told you they care about you, and now they're getting hurt. And why are you here? What, you're trying to brainwash me again? And so when it comes down to things, Despair Jay is just like, I don't care to do that. And plus, after getting our heart ripped out before, I don't have the strength to completely take over you. No, I'm just here to have a plan to save her dumbass. And I'm just like, a plan. And so Despair Jay is like, you were training with Big Tits Teach to transfer purity and move it around and such, yeah? Since purity and despair are limitless in what they can do, why not control the despair in you? I'm just like, is that even possible? And so Despair Jay is like, if you wrap your soul in purification, then yes. However, we both know how purity gets when its host is willingly falling evil. So I can only help you for a little bit of time. The rest will be up to you. As for those girls, I have something ready thanks to your blade. So you up for it? And so Jay's just like, let's do it. And so basically, Despair Jay's like, alright, calm your heart down, but stay angry. Have a quiet rage in you. And essentially, Jay followed the instructions to the letter and went back to the fight, and time resumed. And so, not using purification, but despair, the Despair Jay came out to play. Jay broke free from Blake's blades, and she tries to block another attack, you know, that Jay's about to prepare for, but Jay says, nah, we ain't blocking shit. Skips through that shit and basically goes through her blocking shield and stabs Blake and holds her in the air. Good gosh, you didn't think this was gonna get this crazy, now did you? But anyway, he is holding Blake in the air, and Blake is just groaning in pain, and he's just like, it won't kill you, but will crush that despair of yours. How does it feel that you're getting blacked by despair? Hey Yang, you just gonna sit there and watch her go through this? You ain't gonna help her? And so Yang just like, I don't care what you do to her. She's never been able to protect herself. And so Blake is just shocked at hearing all this and confirms what she's basically been feeling. She's just like, how could you? Yang. And so basically she started to fade out. So basically Jay took the blade and just tilted it to the side so Blake couldn't slide off of it. And, you know, that's how that kind of went. And so Yang was like, she was never good for much. I really had her wrapped around my fingers, huh? And so she stopped punching Shoko and, you know, start walking over. And I'm just like, there's a bit of irony here. But you're evil for thinking that. How could you be not so caring for someone who'd been by your side? And so Yang's like, simple. I never cared for her at all. This is the same person who worked with the White Fang after all. But she left the moment she realized something was amiss. Besides, that doesn't matter here. And so Yang's like, you're right. Because the only thing that matters is the will of man. And so I'm just like, huh? Despair? And so basically, the despair, well, to be honest, this has been Despair Yang for a while now, but this is really the Despair Yang. More so, Despair really acting out through Yang, to be perfectly concise with it. But anyway, so Despair basically talking through Yang's body, and essentially just like, don't act so surprised. Or maybe you really didn't know. Regardless, it seems you haven't had a clue about the answers to that question yet. However, I will praise you a bit. Using Despair even though purity is with you? Maybe you're not that simple fool I thought you were. And so basically, completely out of nowhere, all you hear is Ruby coming through for some reason, and she's just like, Yang? What happened here? Jay, what is this? And so both of them were silent on the matter, but essentially, they were both thinking the same thing as to why she was here. And so Jay to himself was just thinking, I thought Neo was supposed to keep her away. That was part of the plan. And so Ruby just immediately broke down in tears when she saw Blake laid out. Obviously. So, also, I do need to explain this. So what happened essentially when Jay stabbed Blake, it wasn't a physical stab of the sword like you would normally think, oh, she's bleeding out, now she's about to die. No, that's not how that went. Basically what Jay did, and what Despair Jay was planning, was essentially using that sword to crush that despair that was within her. Essentially, not attack her physically, but attack her spiritually. And, basically use that despair against Blake in her own way, right? So that's kind of how it was. Basically attack the soul, if you want to call it that. So essentially, Ruby obviously is crying because she's thinking Blake is really seriously hurt and injured and stuff like that. But when it comes down to things, Ruby just screaming her name. And so Despair Yang just like, move and I'll rip your heart out. And so basically threatening Jay with a good damn time. And so basically Ruby just like, why Yang? What's going? And so Yang backhands Ruby and essentially knocks her out cold. And Jay couldn't necessarily, do anything about it because remember the first time there was a confrontation, Despair ripped out Jay's heart? Yeah, don't want that to happen again. So essentially, Despair Yang just like, she's not dead. Though even if she was, it would be fine. And so Jay's not really saying anything, obviously. But essentially, the Despair version of Yang, she's just a burden anyway. Just like her friend. She's nothing. And so is her life. But the moment she says that, the real Yang deep down of all that despair that's being suppressed by everything, the real Yang is just like, that's not true. And so I'm just like, huh? So essentially the moment Jay realizes that, he ends up, oh shit, while Yang is distracted right now, I need to do something. So essentially, he's going on basically a slasher spree and just slashed the sword inside of Yang. And so Jay's just like, so even the real Yang is fighting against you. Thought I'd give her a hand, or I guess a blade in this situation. Not everyone is going to bow to you. I sure as hell won't. Yang won't either. So I guess the will of man, if you want an answer, is a spirit of not giving up, even in the worst of times. And so Despair, after hearing that, just went on a effing hysterical laughing spree. And Jay was just like, what the hell is this shit? What is this shit? And so Despair is basically like, you are right. But if your will doesn't give up, your body will. Perhaps I should see if Konako can endure the same thing you described. And so essentially, Despair Yang just completely punched the shit out of Jay, knocking him completely back, ripping the sword out of herself as well, and he just knocked all the effing way back to the damn stone wall. And so, after taking that hit, that was all Despair Jay can actually do. He was just like, damn, I gotta clock out. I don't think we'll be able to win this way, so the rest is gonna be on purity. And as he says that, Jay basically goes out of his despair state and goes back to normal. He's just like... And so basically Yang just, continuing her laughter spree, basically going even more into despair as that part of her just keeps growing wild. And so Yang just like, it's time to show you what despair truly means. And so as you see that, as she say that, essentially the sky goes pink. And now, and I obviously can't show this to Kakatsu because it takes too damn much and there's no possible way for me to do this, a new multiversal leakage starts happening. Except this time, it's not necessarily just gonna drop a whole world onto the world that's already existing. No, now a shit ton of characters is starting to pop up from that damn hole, which is causing a multiversal imbalance. And so Jay is hella confused. He's just like, oh shit. And he's just not effing with this at all, right? Every single character you could possibly think of is coming through to this world. And that's essentially how we're gonna end this, right? That's essentially how we're gonna end this. I know, cliffhanger-chan, you poor bastard, but that's how I have to end this, honestly, because one, this video is about 40 effing minutes long, at least at the time of this recording. And when it comes down to things, I need to honestly break this off so we go into part 2. Again, that's gonna be happening this week, but yeah, a lot of stuff has happened. Yukari figuring out herself, you know, Shoko getting her ass beat for the millionth time, which, come on, Shoko. And then, obviously, you have Despair Jay actually becoming, like, giving Jay basically another damn form, essentially. Even if it's not necessarily going to be able to last for a few minutes, right? Then, obviously, we see, you know, Yang and how she actually feels, and how that was, you know, corrupted with Despair too, which kind of means partially part of this is Yang's fault, but also part of this is not her fault because of Despair just using her. But because of how she is emotionally and the way she is, it also, you know, provided a way for Despair to kind of use her in whatever way she wanted to believe certain things, to say certain things that she originally, canonically, would never say otherwise. Hurting Ruby, backhanding her, I don't think the real Yang would ever appreciate or do that, right? There's no benefit to that. So that's also like a thing, you know? So when it comes down to things, I also know somebody gonna be like, but what about Konako and Weiss's fight? I came here for this because I want to see Catgirl beat ass, right? So yeah, that's like another thing that comes through. Also, again, I swear, if somebody clipped that Shawn Michaels ass HBK theme song, I swear I'm going to actually rage. But when it comes down to things, that's essentially all I have for you for this one. Again, we're gonna have part 2 come out very soon, so just be on the lookout for that, probably within like a day or so. So again, keep that out in mind. And when it comes down to things, again, make sure you like, share, subscribe, all this type of stuff. Hit the bell notification on your way out. Also follow me on the Patreon and Twitter. I keep saying follow me on Patreon first. Why do I keep doing that? But also just follow me on, you know, different socials and stuff. Also, I know you're probably thinking, well, this wasn't very lewd. I mean, it's not really a lot of lewd stuff I can add into this episode, honestly. Like, I barely thought I could do that with Lamine, honestly. So, this is a more story-driven than anything. But anyway, so, again, just, you know, keep that type of stuff in mind. It's still going on Patreon, right? I mean, you're gonna see the full thing on Patreon, obviously. But that just kind of is what it is. But that's essentially all I have to say. Again, let me end this damn video. Until then, it's your boy Jay, signing off. Have a blessed day.